Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Cooking for Health with Timah, and of course I am Timah. So this video is because of all the emails that I've been receiving in regards to making your gluten, because you want to be able to make some of those dishes that I've been putting up. Those are just some basic things that you'll be able to do with your gluten. So I'm gonna attempt to address all those emails with this one video. I came up with a very quick process, and I really had to do that because I make gluten so much for various things and for my clientele. I had to come up with a very quick process for making the gluten. I think you're gonna love this, okay? Then you're not really sure what you're looking for when you're making your gluten, or how large of a dough ball you should use when you're making your gluten. Okay, so let's start with how large of a dough ball. Just use enough flour to make a nice sized ball that you're comfortable with when you're just making a dough. Okay, so maybe start off with like 1.5 cups or a cup. Do something small. This is the test kitchen, okay? So start off something small until you get the hang of it. So I have my flour, and the flour that I'm gonna be using is gonna be some whole wheat spelt, which has the German side of it. And the only other flour that I use is Kamut, and also use the White Spelt, but those are the only flours that I use for making my glutens or for whatever. Okay, so the tools that you're gonna use, I have a sifter, and the sifter is gonna be used in a couple of different ways. So this is a stainless steel 6-inch sifter, because I can also put this inside of the oven. This is a coffee filter. I don't drink coffee, but you'll see why I have it. Like I said, I had to be very creative because I make gluten so much to where I had to come up with a process that was going to be much faster for when I'm putting this out for my clientele. All right, so, and of course we're going to need to use some water. And if you think you may need, here's a little silicone spatula spoon just for scraping around the edge, just to get everything down. You may and you may not need it. And then maybe some food grade gloves. All right, so I'm going to use a small amount of flour. And again, like I said, I'm going to sift this down. So I'm going to use 1.5 cups of my flour and just put it right down inside of my receptacle. So that's the 1 cup, and then there's the 1/2 cup. So I'm just sifting all of my flour down into my bowl. I just want to get all of the germ out of it. Okay, so I've sifted my flour. Now, although I use 1.5 cups of the whole wheat flour and I sifted that down, it really turned into being like 1.25 cups, because there's like 1/4 cup of the germ that was sifted out of it. So I'm gonna sit this to the side. I'm not gonna throw this away. That goes over to the side. So now I'm just gonna start adding my water. I'm gonna go with my 1/2 cup and just add water slowly. Just pour in just a little. At this stage, all you really do is bringing your water and your flour together just to make a nice dough ball. So there's no kneading involved in this part, and pour in the rest of that water. Now I'm just gonna use my hand to bring it on together. So what you want to do is just make sure that you've gotten all of the flour up out of the bowl and that your ball is not going to be too wet. So this is perfect. It's not too wet of a ball. If your ball is too wet, then just add just a little bit more flour. And so now it's time for the kneading. All right, so here is where we're going to use the dough hook for the dough. All right. So now if you've been watching my videos, then you know usually I don't use this. This is actually a new kitchen tool that I have. I usually knead my dough with my hand, but like I said, when you need it to be a fast process, using the dough hook is going to be really good. So I'm going to let the dough hook do the work for me. Okay, so I have a nice little ball of dough, and now I'm just going to use some distilled water. Just pour enough water over the top of your dough to completely cover it over. There we go. So we're gonna let that sit. Now we're gonna move back over to the dough hook. Now here's what makes this a really quick process. So instead of kneading with our hand, we're gonna, not kneading, but washing the dough with our hand, we're gonna let the dough hook do most of the work for us. Now just make sure that you have your shield on here. There we go. And you're gonna turn it on low. So let's lock it down. And so we're gonna put it on number 1. So we're just gonna let the dough hook massage the dough. This process also allows for the starch to be released from the dough in an even quicker way instead of just washing it with our hands. So I just let this go for maybe about 5 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. And then we're gonna stop it and go to the next process. Okay, so now I've taken it off the dough hook. So this is what it'll look like after you've taken it off of the dough hook. You have this nice milky white liquid in the bottom of your bowl. And then you have, let me get my spoon. Then you have the bits. That's your gluten being built up right there. So now we're going to separate this even more. All right, so now let's get our cold water going. And here's that great step that's going to make this so much easier and so much faster. Turn it down a little. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to let this sit right up under the water. So all these bits you see in here, that's your gluten. Whoops, that's your gluten. And as you shake it, they'll start to clump together as the water drips out from the bottom. So you'll just keep that up, and you'll do this process as many times as you feel you need until you've gotten all of these starch out. This is your gluten building up. See? All the starch is being wrenched right out of it. And continue to shake it while it's up under the water. And this way you're not losing any of your gluten down the sink. You're keeping it all right here where it's needed. Okay, now here's my gluten. And there's some more of the wheat germ that washed out of the dough as I was making my gluten. Well, I'm going to squeeze out as much of the water as possible from my gluten. And I'll probably just let it sit and drain a little bit more, but that's ready. Now, hopefully you think that this process that I came up with will help you be better and quicker with making your gluten. And here it is, right here. So, this has been your test kitchen for making your gluten, and this will keep you from losing any of your gluten, the little particles of your gluten, the little fiber strands. It'll keep you from losing any of it going down your drain. Just stick with that process, get better with that process, and you'll be a pro. Masterclass!
Look what I do!